Japan and the Philippines have agreed for their armed forces to work more closely together.
A new defense pact between Japan and the Philippines has officially taken effect, and it's already changing the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. The agreement allows troops from both nations to operate inside each other's territory for training and joint missions, and it marks the fastest-moving security partnership anywhere in the region today. Now comes the next leap. In November 2025, Philippine Navy Chief Vice Admiral Jose Ambrosio Espeleta confirmed that Manila is seeking 5 additional retired TC90 maritime patrol aircraft from Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force. The request follows ongoing talks over the possible transfer of Japan's Abukuma-class destroyer escorts, a move that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. These aren't routine acquisitions. They are the building blocks of a strategic overhaul, one that is reshaping how the Philippines watches its seas, protects its territory, and projects presence across one of the most contested maritime regions on the planet. For Japan, the deepening partnership signals something equally significant. Tokyo is stepping decisively into a larger security role along the first island chain. For the Philippines, the urgency is real and long overdue. We still have major gaps in our maritime domain awareness, Vice Admiral Espeleta said plainly. We want to see if we can integrate more aircraft into our fleet. Behind that modest statement lies a much bigger reality. The Philippines is responsible for monitoring an exclusive economic zone spanning 2.26 million square kilometers, one of the largest in Asia. Yet today, it can effectively watch only about 30% of those waters. The rest remains vulnerable, exploited repeatedly by Chinese Coast Guard ships, maritime militia formations, and survey vessels operating just below the threshold of open conflict. This is where the TC90 becomes a game changer. Originally flown by Japan for pilot training and maritime reconnaissance, the twin-engine turboprop has proven perfectly suited for the Philippines' needs. It's slow enough to closely inspect fishing boats, fast enough to cover vast coastlines, and flexible enough to track militia swarms, shadow suspicious vessels, and patrol flashpoints like Scarborough Shoal, the Batanes Islands, and the contested waters off Palawan. But the TC90 carries more than surveillance value. It carries history. When Japan transferred 5 TC90s to the Philippines in 2017 and 2018, it marked the first time Japan had ever exported military aircraft. That single decision shattered decades of self-imposed restrictions, made possible only after Tokyo loosened its defense export rules in 2014. At the time, Japan's Ministry of Defense called the move a symbol of its commitment to regional maritime security. 8 years later, that symbolism has hardened into strategy. The Philippines needs more eyes in the sky, and Japan has become the partner most willing and most able to deliver. What began as isolated equipment transfers has evolved into a structured, long-term security alliance, accelerating faster than any other Manila-Tokyo cooperation in modern history. Japan has already delivered advanced air surveillance radar systems and is preparing to deploy new coastal monitoring radars under its official security assistance framework. Talks now include surveillance drones, maritime intelligence systems, and expanded pilot training programs. What makes these transfers truly transformative is how seamlessly they align with the Philippines' new forward operating bases across its northern frontier, especially the emerging hub in Mahatao, Batanes, just 200 kilometers from Taiwan. As these outposts come online, Japanese radars, patrol aircraft, and future unmanned systems will give Manila unprecedented visibility over the Luzon Strait, the North Philippine Sea, and the increasingly tense West Philippine Sea. This is no longer simple capacity building. It's the creation of a shared surveillance network stretching across the first island chain. And Japan's support goes well beyond hardware. Philippine sailors and aviators are now training in anti-submarine warfare, an area where Japan's expertise is among the best in the world and increasingly critical as Chinese submarine activity expands near Philippine waters. Japan is helping us with intelligence sharing and anti-submarine expertise, Vice Admiral Espeleta acknowledged. We need this to build a modern navy. The message is unmistakable. Japan is no longer just helping the Philippines observe its seas. It's helping Manila prepare to defend them. That reality becomes even clearer with the possible transfer of Abukuma-class destroyer escorts, one of the most consequential naval modernization opportunities the Philippine Navy has faced in decades. Built between 1989 and 1993, the Abukuma-class ships are proven, multi-role platforms optimized for anti-submarine warfare, coastal patrols, and escort missions. Exactly the capabilities the Philippines lacks as Chinese submarines, Coast Guard cutters, and militia vessels push deeper into disputed waters. Vice Admiral Espeleta's request for at least 3 ships reflects disciplined planning, not ambition. 1 vessel on patrol, 1 in maintenance, and 1 dedicated to training and integration. It's a rotation model designed to sustain constant presence without burning out new assets, a lesson learned the hard way from past fleets. The real hurdle isn't technical, it's political. Japan's arms export rules still restrict the transfer of lethal weapon systems, a legacy of its post-war pacifist constitution. But pressure is mounting inside Tokyo. The ruling Liberal Democratic Party has openly argued that Japan must do more to support partners facing coercion and to uphold regional stability. If the Abukuma transfer proceeds, it would mark one of Japan's largest military exports ever and a historic expansion of defense cooperation with the Philippines. For Manila, it would mean not just stronger naval firepower, but deeper integration with Japanese doctrine, training, and operational concepts. For Tokyo, it would signal a clear willingness to empower frontline partners confronting the same pressures it faces from Beijing. These ships are more than steel and sensors. They are a test of how far the Japan-Philippines strategic partnership is prepared to go. The Philippines is pursuing more TC90s and potentially Abukuma-class ships because both platforms serve the country's most urgent strategic shift, the move from internal security operations to full-scale external defense. At the heart of that transition is maritime domain awareness, the ability to see, track, and understand what's happening across the vast West Philippine Sea and the northern approaches toward Taiwan. TC90s close the gap between satellites, drones, and coastal radars, creating a continuous watch that exposes hostile movements before they become crises. Meanwhile, the Abukuma-class vessels address an even deeper vulnerability: anti-submarine warfare. As China expands its submarine deployments, especially quiet diesel-electric boats capable of hiding in deep waters off Palawan and Luzon, the Philippines urgently needs sonar-equipped ships and trained crews to detect threats beneath the surface. Together, these platforms are driving a broader transformation inside the armed forces of the Philippines, one that aligns Manila with U.S. and Japanese archipelagic defense strategies. This isn't just modernization, it's deterrence. And powering it all is the Reciprocal Access Agreement. Now fully in force, the RAA strips away the bureaucratic friction that once slowed joint exercises, port visits, overflights, and equipment transfers. In its place is a framework that allows Japanese and Philippine forces to operate together with unprecedented ease, closer in spirit to the U.S.-Japan alliance than anything the two nations had before. With the RAA, Japanese warships can conduct frequent port calls, troops can rotate with minimal red tape, and joint operations can be staged across Batanes, Luzon, and Palawan almost as a matter of routine. This means more regular exercises and more MSDF port calls, Vice Admiral Espeleta said. But the deeper impact is strategic. The RAA effectively locks the Philippines into the Japan-US-Philippines security triangle, one of the Indo-Pacific's most powerful and rapidly solidifying defense alignments. With this pact in place, Tokyo and Manila are no longer occasional partners reacting to crises. They are becoming permanent, interoperable allies, preparing together for the next chapter of Indo-Pacific security. They are no longer just cooperating. They are operationally connected, strategically aligned, and increasingly prepared to act together across the first island chain. And the timing couldn't be more critical. Maritime tensions are climbing fast, and collective deterrence now matters more than ever. To understand why the Japan-Philippines partnership is accelerating, you have to look at what's happening in the West Philippine Sea, where Chinese pressure has crossed from intimidation into outright danger. Philippine sailors are being blasted with water cannons powerful enough to cause injuries. Close-range intercepts near Ayungin Shoal have become routine. Swarms of Chinese maritime militia linger constantly, turning what should be standard patrols into high-risk operations, where every move is filmed, every encounter documented, and every miscalculation could trigger escalation. And the threat doesn't stop at the surface. Beneath these waters, Chinese submarines are stepping up patrols through critical sea lanes and choke points, quietly slipping through the corridors that connect the South China Sea to the Pacific. These are the same routes Japan depends on for energy imports, global trade, and national security. That reality explains why Tokyo is so deeply invested. Japan doesn't see the Philippines as just another partner. It sees it as the southern anchor of the first island chain, a geographic linchpin that shapes China's ability to project power and directly affects any future Taiwan scenario. Strengthening Manila's surveillance capabilities helps Japan safeguard its oil lifelines from the Middle East, reinforces early warning systems vital to Taiwan's defense, and upholds a principle Tokyo takes seriously. Freedom of navigation must be defended, not just talked about. At the core of this alignment is a simple, unavoidable truth. Japan and the Philippines are frontline states facing the same playbook of Chinese assertiveness. Their risks overlap, their weak points intersect, and their security has become inseparable. In that context, every TC90 aircraft added, every radar system installed, and every port call made under the Reciprocal Access Agreement becomes part of a shared defensive shield, a coordinated response to a shared regional threat. The Philippines' push for more TC90s and the potential arrival of Abukuma-class ships are already reshaping the Navy's future posture. Defense planners now describe this shift as a triangle of defense, a layered geographic and operational framework that finally gives Manila sustained coverage over its most vulnerable waters. To the north, new bases in Batanes, equipped with Japanese radar systems and reinforced by U.S. surveillance platforms, provide early warning across the Luzon Strait, a choke point critical not only to Philippine security but to any Taiwan contingency. To the west, TC90 patrol aircraft, fixed coastal radars, and newly deployed BrahMos missile batteries form the backbone of deterrence in the West Philippine Sea. Together, they give the Philippines what it has long lacked: persistent eyes on the water, reliable tracking data, and credible strike capability to monitor and, if necessary, challenge hostile movements near Scarborough Shoal and Second Thomas Shoal. This is no longer a collection of isolated upgrades. It's a coordinated defensive architecture, one designed for a region where the margin for error is shrinking and the cost of being unprepared is rising fast. In the south, expanded maritime patrols and upgraded ports are giving the Navy far greater reach, strengthening its ability to respond to gray zone tactics, disrupt smuggling routes, and counter potential incursions in the Sulu and Celebes seas. But the real power of these upgrades becomes clear when you see how they work together as part of a larger modernization push. The TC90 patrol aircraft, with their long endurance and wide area coverage, dramatically sharpen the Navy's surveillance picture. More importantly, they feed real-time targeting data to systems like BrahMos, giving mobile missile units the intelligence they need to track surface targets across hundreds of kilometers. What was once a fragmented picture is quickly becoming a connected battlefield view. At the same time, the potential addition of Abukuma-class destroyer escorts would fill some of the Navy's most critical critical gaps. These ships bring badly needed anti-submarine warfare and escort capabilities, allowing the fleet to protect patrol vessels, secure undersea cables, and escort supply convoys during times of crisis. Together, these capabilities support a deeper transformation already underway. The Philippine Navy is no longer just a coastal policing force. It is beginning to operate as a true maritime defense institution, built around layered surveillance, credible strike readiness, and coordinated operations across air, surface, and undersea domains. "We're trying to build a modern navy," Vice Admiral S. Paletta said bluntly, "and we need expertise from Japan and the United States." That single statement captures the moment. These acquisitions aren't about flashy platforms or prestige hardware. They're about building a force that can see farther, react faster, and operate with confidence in a maritime environment that is growing more crowded, more contested, and more strategically dangerous every year. The Philippines' push to acquire additional TC90s and possibly bring Abukuma-class ships into service marks one of the fastest accelerations of military modernization in the country's history. But the bigger story reaches beyond Manila. It signals the rise of a new security architecture in the Indo-Pacific. What began as cautious, incremental cooperation has evolved into one of the region's most dynamic strategic partnerships, with Japan emerging as the Philippines' closest security partner after the United States. The Reciprocal Access Agreement has transformed the relationship from occasional collaboration into a living, operational framework. Intelligence sharing, joint patrols, anti-submarine training, and defense transfers are no longer symbolic gestures. They are the foundation of a durable security alliance. For the Philippines, this means wider maritime awareness, stronger deterrence, and a navy finally capable of watching, responding, and defending across its vast seas. For the region, the implications are even larger. It marks a shift toward a cooperative Indo-Pacific, one where frontline democracies reinforce each other, deterrence is shared, and security is built through partnership rather than isolation. At a time when maritime coercion is on the rise, Japan and the Philippines are showing that cooperation isn't just an option anymore. It's the new strategic currency of a region determined to shape its own future. If you found this analysis valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of today's most important global security issues.